Hi everybody, welcome to this week's Tillers Turf Talk. Weather's pretty horrible outside again, so we've come indoors, and today we're going to have a look at the harvester. Now normally the harvester, when we see it, is out in the field harvesting, and we simply don't have time to stop it and have a look around. You know, there's too much going on, too much to do to get the harvest done for the day. So the harvest team, they normally work from Sunday to Thursday, but Kieran's very kindly come in today because today his machine's in here ready to be cleaned down, serviced, ready for the start of the new week. So we're going to get up close and personal, have a closer look at some of the detail on the machine, some of the mechanisms and how it works. And there's no better person to show us all that than the operator himself. So we'll start at the business end then, Kieran. So we've got this thing sticking out the front here. Explain a bit what that's used for.
So this is your steering chute, which basically drops down when you're in the cut, and it will follow the first line that you put in, which works left to right across the field. Basically sits like that inside the cut. And guides the machine as auto steering.
So auto steering. So obviously I've noticed the cab sits sideways there when you're operating. So when you're harvesting, you're able to keep an eye on quality control and the rolls going up. And obviously you can't be looking forward as well while you do that. So we only have 2 eyes and not 4 eyes. So that job's doing, it's surely your eyes for you, isn't it, really, going forwards? Brilliant. So obviously then turf straight into the cutter head. So explain a bit about the cutter head and some of the features on here.
So this is your sort of first impact, really. It's your ground roller, which applies pressure onto the turf depending on the varying conditions of the turf. And then if we look, you probably won't be able to see, but just inside here there's a chop-off blade, which chops the turf into the required,
the designated length.
And then it would come under here to the cutting blade.
So we just come a bit closer, have a look at the cutting blade in here, and as Kieran was rightly saying, the roller there just helps compress and compact the turf, just helps it lift as well, can make it a little bit stronger for lifting. So if we look at the cutting blade here, this reciprocates at tremendously high speed. Obviously it's a constant motion machine, so it's constantly reciprocating, cutting very, very quickly, as we may have seen in some previous videos. So once it comes up here then, Kieran, I notice these little fingers at the back of the blade there. What do they do?
So they guide the turf. Obviously we're in a static position at the minute, so when it's harvesting, this would drop down, the belt would feed down, and the accumulator would move forward. So these fingers allow the turf to be guided up onto the belt, and then the belt will pull it up, and then we'll go to the next stage of the process. Excellent.
And lots of bearings and pulleys and things on here. I see there's lots of grease, so you're obviously maintaining the machine, which obviously these machines have big days, the reliability is everything, so fantastic. Credit to you for your upkeep of it. So the turf goes up the conveyor. At this point it's more of a slab than a roll, isn't it? So how does it become a roll?
So obviously, as you said, it's a slab, so it'll come up, it goes under these wheels, which just give it that extra little bit of oomph to hit this roll up here. And then if you see here, there's a first point, which is the gate. So it hits the gate, which then flicks the first part of the roll over, which then would start the rolling up process. So then that would fall back on itself, ready for the next roll. And then if you look here, there's some the rest of the roll-up tray, which applies pressure onto the roll, a constant pressure, which allows it to obviously keep its resolutions going into a roll, obviously making it really nice and tight. And then it would hit the power roll up, which just gives it that extra rotate to then allow it to force onto the accumulator.
So tremendous. Every time I look at these harvesters, I cannot believe the innovation, the invention, the imagination that somebody's given to make a machine that cuts to turf, to cut turf. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, isn't it? So when we look at this, this only sort of strapped up here now for transport purposes. All that would normally come off during the harvest. Now I've also noticed we have another conveyor under here. Now with some of the early harvesters, we take quality control seriously. We've said on many videos before. So as Kieran's watching out of the cab here, watching the rolls, any he's not happy with, he will simply pull the conveyor forward and reject it down onto the conveyor here. Now with old ones, they will literally just fall down straight onto the floor, and you'd end up with a load of waste rolls to drive over, destabilise your harvest operation, everything else. But with these nowadays, they're on a conveyor. So once that conveyor is full, Kieran can pull somewhere in the field. The turf is ejected out of one side to later be spread and recycled back onto the field once the harvest in that field is complete. So we'll go back a little bit further then, Kieran. So normally, as I say, we're operating the machine, and obviously the machine is fitted with all the relevant guards and everything else it needs. So obviously we can't open these when the machine's operational, but today it's switched off, it's safe, so we can have a look in here. So as Kieran said, the power roller here just finishes the roll off nice and neat. So tell us a little bit more about the conveyor at the top here, Kieran.
So it's what we would call an accumulator.
Yeah.
So the roll would obviously hit here,
yeah.
And then when the next one, there's a sensor which tells it when it's about to move. So
yeah.
Basically, when you're in the cab, you get all your timings correct, so it's moving onto here at the right time. And then this will move till you've got 7 on your accumulator. Then once you've got your 7, it will take you back 5.
Yep.
This stacker will drop down, apply pressure onto the rolls, and then the spears will go into the roll
to lift it. Yeah.
And then it will lift away, and it rotates so it can do different segments, an unturned and a turned layer.
Yeah. So 2 rows, 2 rows, 2 rows till you've got your desired stack on the pallet. So as Kieran said rightly, here we get 7 rolls on here. So once the first 5's on there, that one's lifting over, while the next 5 are coming on to make up the next, and so the process begins. So again, amazing innovation, amazing imagination. So if we go to the back of the machine, there's one more sort of real key feature here, Kieran, is the big structure at the back here, which I assume is for stacking the pallets on. So how many sort of pallets and that can we put on this machine?
Yeah, so you can get 20 pallets on the injector.
Yeah.
You know, this goes up and down. Obviously with the turf, when you drop the pallet, this lifts up until you're about 3 or 4 rolls clear of the pallet, and this will come back down automatically. Your tines will lift back up, and then it will automatically inject another pallet.
Yeah, so unlike old harvester, and this is a constant motion machine.
Yep.
There's no need to stop at all.
Nope.
Pallet off, pallet on, and away we go. And how many rolls of turf an hour do you think you can do with this machine?
1,600 metres, so 1,600 rolls.
1,600 square metres of turf an hour.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. So brilliant. So that's the business end of the machine. Let's go take a look at the engine. So as we come around the machine then, Kieran, before we get to the engine, we've got a super-sized radiator here.
Yep.
What can you tell us about that? It's not sort of a normal radiator one way.
No, so you've got a reverse fan on the other side.
Yeah.
Which obviously the machine will have a period where it will kick the reverse fan in, and then the dust will extract out the radiator to keep it running optimum.
Yeah, with any engine, obviously the cooling system, really, really important. So as you say, reverse blow through, clean out any dust or chaff that may have got in there. So if we come forward a bit further then, let's take a look at this and come and check out this engine. Look at the size of that. So what type of engine have we got here then, Kieran? What do you know about its horsepower? And
so it's a John Deere 140 brake horsepower engine. It's an all-wheel drive hydrostatic machine.
Fantastic. So yeah, it's some engine, isn't it? And I don't know how that would compare with something like a combine harvester engine, or I don't really know. So, but certainly for this operation, plenty of power.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big machine to propel, a lot of work to do. So I would suggest it's maybe even slightly overpowered, but it needs to be for, obviously, for the operation that it's performing. So seriously impressive. And looking down here, that's the other end of the conveyor we looked at for rejecting the turf. So as you can see, nicely out the side of the machine and out the way. So that's the engine, the business end, as far as driving the machine goes. Now, no tour of the harvester would be complete without having a look in the cab. So there can be some long days in here then, Kieran. You know, some big harvest days. So operator comfort, absolutely essential. So nice comfortable seats. You've even got one for me, which is absolutely fantastic. So lots of gadgets, gizmos, a real sort of, I guess, a technophobe nightmare really, but certainly for people like me. But looking in here then, can you explain what a few of these things do and everything else?
So basically everything across the top, all the toggle switches, they're all to do with lights.
Yeah.
You know, so we've got all really bright LED lights, which allows us to harvest in the dark.
Yeah. And
be able to see, and you know, no quality is compromised.
Yeah.
We've got the heaters, we've got the radio, cameras at 4 different points, so I can see behind me, at the sides of me.
Yeah.
And then we've got the screen, which again we spoke about before. You know, it tells me every bit of information I need.
Yeah.
And I can adjust everything from in here. You've got the joystick, which, you know, it allows you to drive, so there's no pedals, it's all done off of here, so it's forward for forward, and middle for middle, back for back. Buttons, which you know, if you were to jump in, it would probably be a bit hard, but you know, it's muscle memory time on the seat. You just naturally press them and get things out of the way. You know, if you get your scrap roll, make the decision quick.
Yeah, see on the image here, you've got lots of things like a nice.
Yeah, so that tells me exactly how many, so I can adjust that if I'm out of segment, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It tells me exactly how far I am in the pallet. It's on the touch screen. I can adjust pallets. I can adjust which way it stacks the pallets.
Yeah, so going back to things like the lever, then I guess it's like people in a 360 excavator, where eventually just becomes second nature, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And I noticed you've got the iPad there as well. Now that's for obviously the harvest operations to communicate with the office, with the forklift drivers, to let them know what's harvested, what isn't harvested, what's ready to collect, what fields it's in, who's cutting what, and everything else. So lots and lots of information here that you need, lots and lots of information that you get. So fabulously efficient. So thanks for that, Kieran. I hope you enjoyed that little sort of up close and personal tour of the harvester. Thanks again to Kieran once more for showing us around, giving us a good sort of detailed overview on not just the machine but how everything works in the cab as well. It's absolutely fantastic. So finish off, just say thank you to everybody for watching. It's all appreciated, all your views, all your comments, keep them coming. Please continue to like, share, to retweet, all the good stuff, help us grow the channel. If you haven't subscribed to Tillers Turf TV on YouTube already, please do so. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week.